Okay. Well, let's talk about warehousing. I think the importance of this facility has improved quite a bit in the last 1.5 odd year in the pandemic. An important component in the entire supply chain scenario as well. Let's welcome on the show now Rampraveen Swaminathan of Mahindra Logistics as well as Ramesh Nair of Colliers. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you so much for taking our time for joining us and joining us on this discussion. Mr. Swaminathan, let me start off with you first. What has demand been like? How have you seen the whole online shopping shift sort of change operations dynamics for the entire supply chain? And do you think it's something that has also spurred warehousing demand? Okay, Mr. Swaminathan, my question was for you that how have you seen the last couple of years, the last, in fact, precisely speaking, 18 months, operations for logistics and warehousing change? Because there obviously have been several moving parts. One, you had COVID, which disrupted supply chains, but then you had more and more people shopping online as well. So demand increased. How did essentially operations change for the entire logistics space? And do you think that demand for warehousing facilities, for storage facilities, has increased tremendously?
Yes. So we've obviously had two secular trends. One, even before the pandemic, India was moving more and more digital. But that has really seen a significant acceleration across all categories since the pandemic has started. And that obviously has resulted in a fairly significant growth in warehousing-based services and solutions, both in terms of storage-based solutions, but also in terms of processing solutions. So as platforms and companies tend to expand their network and densify their network and expand it across larger geographies, we have seen that spill through from larger cities, but also now in tier 2 and tier 3 towns as well. Demand for warehousing of different kinds grow quite exponentially, actually.
So, Mr. Nair, let me ask you then, if demand for warehousing has improved quite a bit, and we've been seeing the need as well across the country, have average rentals as well increased? And what's the demand supply scenario like? Do we have as many warehouse facilities deployed across the country to cater to all of that increase in demand?
Before I talk about the overall real estate space, I'll touch upon the overall e-commerce market. India's, we all know, is the fastest growing e-commerce market in the world. We know our internet penetration, 600 million plus internet users in the country, 45% internet penetration. What we are seeing is demand is definitely outstripping supply currently. Total stock in the country is around 250 million square feet. When you compare this to US, US is 11 billion square feet of organized industrial and warehousing space. Again, in the last few quarters, what we've been seeing is the online grocery market, which is again growing big. That market in India is estimated to be around 18 to 20 billion by 2024. That's growing at a CAGR of around 57%. We are seeing, like I said, around 1100 million people by 2026 who are going to be internet users. A third of these active will become online, active online buyers. What we've seen demand in the last few years, demand was growing at a CAGR of around 40%. When I mean demand for warehousing, the overall absorption. Last year, because of decision-making being slow and a lot of delays because of various other factors, the demand fell. But we are seeing a strong comeback of demand this year.
Sure. Ramesh, just wanted to understand from your perspective as to by how much has the overall leasing space increased in the last couple of months, and how do you actually see it panning out, say, over the next 1 to 2 years, given how one can expect or the likely surge of demand can be?
So what we saw in 2019 was around 36 million square feet. That dropped to 23 million square feet last year because decisions were not being taken. In the first 6 months of this year, we've seen already around a 16 million square feet of demand in the market, which is a very good sign that the market is coming back. What we're also seeing is today adoption of e-commerce is happening at a much wider scale. And many retailers are moving into multi-channel delivery methods. This is obviously helping the warehouse space demand. What we're also seeing is last mile delivery. So till now, you would have seen a warehouse coming up in the outskirts of a city. But for the first time, what we're seeing is what we call in-city warehousing or last mile warehousing, where companies are looking for smaller facilities but closer to the city, where they can do quicker deliveries of 1, 2, 3, 4 hours delivery within the same city. So demand is twofold now, both outskirts as well as in the city.
Sure. Mr. Praveen, are there new facilities that you yourself at Mahindra Logistics have leased? Tell us a little bit more about what your own warehousing expansion initiatives are.
Yeah, so we've been adding, traditionally as a 3PL, we invest in two kinds of warehousing capacity, or at least two kinds of capacities. We do bespoke capacity addition, which is unique to each customer, and then we do a multi-tenant BTS expansion. Facilities which are multi-tenant longer-term contracts, and we are investing quite significantly in the latter. As we speak right now, we have contracted and we are constructing nearly 4 million square feet of facilities across India. And that's something which we expect to grow further over the next 3-4 years. A lot of that demand obviously is coming from e-commerce, but as Ramesh said, it's also coming from brands going online and evolving, omni-channel formats for delivery across the network, starting from consolidation locations down to last mile. But we are expanding, obviously, as I said, around 4 million square feet of large format BTSs, which are on average 400,000 square feet plus across the country. Right, and then those will be supplemented further by smaller warehousing facilities, which go down to up to 20,000 square feet based on which part of the network they're based in.
Okay, just want to understand, Mr. Swaminathan, to get a sense of how the shift is going to be. So Mahindra as a whole has a goal of carbon neutrality. That's a while into the future. But what are you doing in terms of your own operations? There is a focus on electric vehicles, and is that something that you will want to transition to very quickly?
Yeah, so I think our goal is to be carbon neutral by 2040 at Mahindra Logistics. I think it's in consonance with the group's goal as well. We'll accomplish that by multiple levers. Obviously, electrifying our transportation is a big part of that. And a lot of that effort right now is in the last mile. So you would have seen we announced EDEL, which is our electric vehicle-based service. On the cargo side, we have similar initiatives on the mobility side as well. We're also investing significantly in embedding sustainability in our warehousing format. So all of them now increasingly are either LEED or IGBC certified. We're investing in renewable energy in our facilities. We have programs on zero liquid discharge. So even our warehouses now are being developed to sustainable formats, and with the goal of being carbon neutral. And that's something which we see a lot of energy around with customers, as well as the ESG mandate, I think, strengthens across the industrial ecosystem. So both things, warehousing and transportation, continue to see investments from us in driving sustainability.
All right. Mr. Nair, I do want to understand, there are very clear pockets when you look at the real estate market and you splice it, of course, into commercial and residential. I would think that logistics also, you would be able to see these booming markets or markets that are likely to see tremendous growth in the near future. What are those according to you? And are there any key transactions that you witnessed in the recent past?
So we are seeing some new trends in the last couple of quarters. The first trend is we are seeing a lot of smaller towns in India, a lot of shoppers, e-shoppers coming from smaller towns, and e-commerce adoption has reached close to 100% of all pin codes in the country. This was not the situation to 2018, 2019. Another trend, tier 2, tier 3 cities, accounting for nearly 90% of year-on-year incremental volume and value growth for the e-commerce sector. The Indian e-commerce market recorded like 90 million new users in the last festive season. And this was close to a jump of around 87% compared to the previous season. So the developers who were initially focusing on the top 7 cities have now started looking at the next 15 cities. And what we believe areas like Chennai, Bangalore, NCR, Hyderabad specific pockets. You look at an area like Bhiwandi in Mumbai, or Hoskote, Devnahali in Bangalore, Chennai areas like Oragadam, Sri Perumbudur, Pune, Chakan, Talegaon. All these areas are seeing a lot of massive demand coming in from these players.
Certainly something to watch out for. Mr. Swaminathan, Mr. Nair, thank you so much for taking the time and for shedding light on this sector that is growing very, very quickly.